Sarah, let's get started with three O's. ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Saram, with my humble pronouns of the divine Lord of Spirit of our ever-loving Bhagavan Shri Satsai Baba, I welcome you all for the experience sharing this afternoon. I'd like to welcome Brother Hari. He's not a new face to all of us, but a very humble soul taking care of all the duties of Swami and has been part of the SSSIO service, part of the SSSIO Academy for around 3 decades now. So Brother Hari has been a long timer in the Sai family, and also he's currently serving as the co-chairman of SSSIO Humanitarian Relief Committee, and he's also the medical director for Zone 1, which takes care of USA, Canada, and West Indies, and also the member of the SSSIO International Medical Committee in the US, and he's also the national VA coordinator for the US. So, and brother has coordinated multiple camps, medical camps across countries, and we are excited to hear one of his experiences this afternoon from Africa. So he's going to share that experience and many more. At the professional level, Brother Hari, on the professional side is called Dr. Hari. So he has been practicing gastroenterologist and also a adjunct professor at medicine of division of gastroenterologist in Ann Arbor University of Michigan. With that, again, Brother Hari, we welcome you and thank you so much for sharing this.
Saram everyone, I will pronounce the divine glorious feet. Thank you for having me. What I really wanted to do today was really share, through a series of pictures, my recent experience in Africa. What I learned. I've been to Africa before, more from a work perspective through the university. I really want to show you, the incredible, the selfless love and caring and gratitude of the people in Africa through these camps. And also, Swami's Leela, Swami always takes care of us. I mean, he's always done this for us wherever we go to serve. And this obviously was no exception. And how he kind of takes care of you throughout your trip. And Swami always says, allow my uncertainty. And this was really a trip of uncertainty for me personally. Because this was a trip where I knew I was going to go into Africa, but I wasn't sure how I was going to get back out of Africa because of a visa issue. It was pretty interesting, and till the last minute, I didn't even know how I was going to come back. And it turns out that Swami had another plan. Swami wanted me to be there for a few extra days to be with another mission of another Sai sister. So it was such a beautiful thing, this uncertainty. But one thing which always with Swami is that you just have to submit, and he's always there. And I think the more doubts you have, it's just, our minds are under turmoil. But Swami already has a plan in place, and I think you just have to have that complete faith in that. With that, I'll stop. This is the title is Serving God by Serving Man. As Swami always says, see the divine, seeing Him in everyone. To me, this was truly an experience of love and divinity and diversity. Experiencing, we always look at each other in a different way. The Swami always reminds us of, there's one common thread, and that is the divine in each one of us. And what binds that is, is our love for each other. Next slide. This was brought in by one of the Sai students, reminding us that this particular bhajan is supposed to be one of Swami's very favorite, but what it translates to is love the forlorn and suffering people, and my Sai will be happy. So to me, the message is not just, when we go for service anywhere, even, here in Detroit, right, we do activities, but we need to think about the bigger message behind that activity, not that just we're doing the service, but there's a message there from Swami. Swami is telling us, of course, go and help, but the bigger message is to see Him in the people that we serve, recognizing Him in everyone that we serve. That's the bigger message, not just serving. People can serve, a lot of people can serve, all of us can serve, but how is that actually connecting you with the divine in that person that you're serving, and where is that taking you in your own spiritual path? That's a bigger message, at least the way I look at everything that I do in my life, with Swami. Next paragraph, next slide. Swami always says, He's always with us. So my constant prayer to Swami is always, let me be with you always. And I think that the reason for that is because we are the ones who are not with Him. We get distracted in our daily lives with the world around us. And Swami, we always pray to Swami to be with us, but Swami has reaffirmed that so many times that He's always there. It's up to us to remind ourselves to be with Swami. It really comes back to us actually, rather than asking Him, because He's already told us. Once He tells us anything, it's the truth, right? That we don't need to kind of go back to it and pray to that. I think we need to have that implicit faith. Anything that we do in our lives, at least for me, is always following our hearts, because a lot of times when we don't do that, it really limits what we can do in our lives. And as an extension to that, having complete faith and surrendering, and I'll kind of share through this journey in Africa, that faith and surrender to Him, how He took us across the two countries. And again, always seeing the divine all, and the ultimate message is love, love. These days I find myself, at least to train myself, to first see the love first, to see the divine first, and then everything automatically comes. So we went to two countries in Africa, Nigeria and Benin. I never knew there was a country called Benin until we started looking into it. I was like, where is Benin? It's a very tiny country. It's one of the poorest countries in the world. But the experience was just beyond measures. Most of my talk will actually be in Benin, actually. That's where it just was mind-blowing. It's such a tiny country, and Swami's presence. When we think about Swami's presence, we think about the obvious, centers, how many centers there are, how many members there are, what are the activities. You go to a tiny country like Benin, you really experience Swami's mission there. Very similar to when we went to Russia, for example. Most of these people, whether you take in Benin or in Russia, they've never been to India, they've never seen Swami, but they all get dreams of Swami. They feel that they're actually in the work that they do and the service that they do, is such a pure reflection of Swami's message more than anything that you can think about. We quantify, when they don't quantify, they just do it. And I think that experience is, really beyond, it's very hard to describe actually, that experience that. So when the journey I was talking about the visa issue to start with. So the way I took the visa, each country in Africa it's very tricky. With Nigeria, you can go in and you can get out, but you cannot go to another country and come back to Nigeria. But I knew I was going to, because we didn't get this multiple entry, we were only able to get, because of short notice, a single entry visa. So what that meant was I could go in and out of Nigeria, which I did, that's how I booked my tickets. But I was also going into Benin, but I can't come back to Nigeria, so how am I going to come back from Nigeria on my way back? Because that was my ticket. So I bought the ticket, I got the visa, and then I was okay, I'm going to see what happens, because I had no idea. And I didn't even understand the significance of that till later on in the trip, actually. So we go to Nigeria, of course, they had to let us in because I didn't have the entry visa. And then, we were greeted by, every country that you go, very similar, anywhere, right? That's the beauty of us being in Sai families, is that, the love that we show each other, the caring, the support, it's just beyond, we think of these types of support among friendships, but in the Sai community, the Sai families, it goes beyond that. So, people don't think twice to help you, and that's exactly what it was in Nigeria, actually. It was pure selfless service in these countries. Both these countries actually have schools, Sai schools, actually. So in Nigeria, in Lagos, we got to work right away. So the first few days was in Lagos. And in Nigeria, it's very strict about advertising. They actually don't allow you to advertise any events. So this was not advertised, there was just notices put in the area. And it was amazing how many people actually turned up to these schools for the medical camps, actually. Not only undermining the need, but also, the message, when there's love, people just get attracted to it. Next slide. And this particular school, both the schools actually, they really focus on their children. There's a lot of children in Africa. And they really focus on values in these children. When you see these children in these schools, it's just amazing. They're also happy, they're also content. And I'll talk about that later on with the young adults, the teenagers and the young adults in Benin. But there's so much message about taking care of our kids, because they are the future for any country. And there was so much joy in these children, like anywhere that you experience. I mean, the children are pure joy, as you can see. Next slide. So we set up camp in this school. The first day, I think like about 250 or 300. Keep in mind, we were only about 5 of us who actually were there. Doctors. 3 from the U.S. And one of them couldn't come till the following day, and then one from Botswana and one from New Zealand. But one of the things you always find is that when we get together, we're able to do so many things as an organization or as a group of people. It's amazing how much work can be done when you come together and stay united. And that was exactly the case here. In the first day, about 250, 300 people were there, which actually was a lot because there was only 4 of us that particular day. And then the other doctor came the next day, and then the following day, the Swami sent more than 750 people. Swami knows our strength and how much we can handle. And then what was also so beautiful was apparently they've never had these types of events in a lot of these African countries, these types of camps. So it was very new to them, and it really inspired a lot of the local doctors and other specialists to actually come and volunteer. They see people who are coming from elsewhere to help their people, so they kind of joined us. It was really beautiful in terms of whether it was resources or the help that we needed, because one of the things, in addition to the regular medical work, we also were very keen on looking at the eyesight for a lot of patients and give glasses because they don't get routine eye care. So the local optometrists and ophthalmologists actually volunteered in both countries actually, and helped us a lot. And then we provided the glasses because we actually took the glasses, but we had still needed people to actually do the work because none of us were actually trained in that. So how do you do that? Obviously you pray, and Swami sends these people, and it was such a beautiful experience actually. Next one. Again, like I said, it was a lot of children. One of the beauty is that when the resources are not many, you make do with what you have, and Swami makes sure that you do the work actually. Next slide. So in addition to routine medical care, some of these doctors, like this brother from Botswana, does a lot of physical therapy as well. So a lot of people actually needed that. So he was taking care of that. Next slide. These are the local optometrists and ophthalmologists who came to serve in these camps. And they were so overjoyed. We also had local pharmacists come and volunteer, nurses from the local hospital come and volunteer. To them, this was all new. The aspect of serving, volunteering work, was very new to them because they not had these types of camps set up. So it was a very unique experience for them, but it was a pure joy. And this also brought in people from different cultures together. One of the unique things, like we do sometimes with the people in the churches here, when we invite the church people to do their prayers, it's not that we are becoming, for example, someone from the church comes and does their prayer. I think people always have this anxiety that we need to turn into something that we're not routinely used to. But that's never the case, right? We're appreciating other people or other cultures, actually. So this was the same thing. We had people really do their own prayers, from their perspective, how they view God. And it was really beautiful, actually. Next. And this, we're giving classes here. The gentleman on the left, he's the National Council President of Nigeria. Really talk about selfless service, and this gentleman, brother Gaurav, is an absolute reflection of that. No sleep. A lot of these people, they were working late hours to pick us up from the airports, middle of the nights, and then coming right back. A lot of them actually live pretty far away. One of the things, you realize, Especially, when we go from the US, this notion that Americans need comfort. It's always, wherever you go, it's very, when we went to Sri Lanka, when we went to, Russia, Kazakhstan, the local people stay in, basic areas, in the schools, rental places. But for the Americans, they make sure that we are in hotels because they just feel that we just cannot live in these, basic places, which is interesting, we never tried it because they already give us a chance actually. So here we are like staying in hotels and then, these people, driving 1.5, 2 hours, morning and night, to kind of take care of everything while we do the work. I always find that very humbling because it shows that there's a saying that some people say, I want to be the servant of God's servants. That means looking for opportunities to serve. So the way they look at it is that here are volunteers, from other countries. They're looking at us as Lord's servants, and they want to serve us because that is a service. That's an opportunity for them in their spiritual path. It is so beautiful, such a humbling experience. I always say, being in that middle itself is such a huge blessing. Swami's taking care of the patients, but we are in that middle. He's using all of us as his servants, as his instruments. What a blessing it is. In that process, obviously, we need to grow as well. That's the beauty of it. Next slide. Strength and unity, and here, a lot of people coming together. A lot of these are local volunteers from the schools, from the hospitals, and they're all coming together to help. And really diverse backgrounds. Though they look Indian, a lot of these people, they're actually born, brought up, or been in Nigeria for decades. So they don't actually consider themselves Indian. They consider themselves Nigerian. Same thing in Benin. Actually, in Benin, most of them are actually the local Africans. There are few, not many Indians actually. But in Nigeria, most of them that we work with, again, they're of Indian origin, but they were brought up in Nigeria. For them, Nigeria is their country. India is not their country actually. So so that's one of the reasons, for them, investing in their own people, the local Nigerians, is the biggest blessing of all. Next slide. So we then moved on to Benin. So when we went to, on the way to Benin, as in any developing countries, there's always a lot of corruption. They stop you on the way, they ask for monies to go from literally between the Nigeria and Benin, the last, I would say maybe 10 kilometers, maybe not even that. We had literally 10 stops, and we had to literally bribe these 10 stops to be heading to Nigeria. They all come in, but one of the unique things was they come in, I think the way they run these things is they come in, really like, looking very strict and angry that, because they could literally, they can keep us there. We have no control actually. And they walk in and they see all of us kind of smiling. That's a highway, right? Someone walks in your own mind you're saying Sairam, but that kind of translates to a smile, and they're wondering, why are we smiling? Some of these officials, making comments like, hey, you guys look too happy. You do realize we may not actually let you go through the border. We're like, yeah, we know that. But they're like, it's like complete transformation of their own minds, of their hearts, the minute they walk into the van that we were traveling. Of course, that doesn't stop them from taking the bribe, but at least, it allows them to, there's a change of heart at least, but to at least let us go, because every stop, if you think about it, it's a long way actually. It was a very long journey to go from Nigeria to cross the border. But finally, we got into Benin, And here, like I said, there's nothing in Benin other than pure love and the people there. It's the resources in stark contrast to Nigeria, actually. You think of how India was maybe in the 40s, 50s, maybe. That's how Benin is. There's really nothing there. Most of the streets are not lit. There's no major roads or anything like that. But you go to Benin and you see this power of love, right? Benin, there's one center in Benin. It used to be in the capital, but it has moved to this place called Abomey. They have more than 1,000 Sai members in that center, all brought in by one single man. It is just beyond belief when you go to Benin. He says actually there are more than 1,000 now. All of them are the local Benin people, actually. Not a single Indian. These are all the local Benin people, the devotees, actually, next. So they have a huge school. So this brother Jacques Fego, if you had to imagine one person, one individual, so invested in his community, in the kids, in his family, no sleep, beyond selfless, and that's Brother Jacques. He's like a persona of, like walking Swami, a real Swami. That's how he is, and for him, the care of everyone around him is most important than himself. This huge personality, but pure love, actually. Next. These are some of the school children in Benin. They have hundreds of children in this school, and they bring them up. They take care of them, school them, and because Benin, the other thing with Benin is it's a French country. They only speak French. They actually don't speak English. Like in contrast to Nigeria, you can get around speaking English. Most of them speak English, but in Benin it's French. So in a way they're isolated from the rest of Africa in one sense. Very few countries in Africa actually speak French, and Benin is one of them. So everything is in French. So obviously language, you need volunteers can translate to us all the transactions. Everything has to be French. This is Brother Jacques. That's his wife and sister. There are 4 boys. These 4 boys, along with another young adult, they're called the Panchapandavas. So why is that? These 5 young people, the other 4 are kids. These are kids, and the young adult. Every Veda that's out there, they sing. They do homam, they do pujas. It is just beyond. They're so invested, and Brother Jacques, teaches all the kids and all the people there. They sing bhajans. They meet every single week, and then the day we went, it just so happened they were doing homam, and we were so delayed because this trip from Nigeria to Benin got so delayed. It took 8 hours to get there instead of 4 or 5. And so we were supposed to be there by 6 o'clock. We didn't even get there till I think 9:30 or 10. Every single kid was waiting for us to greet us. And we told them to do go ahead and do the puja before we came, so that when we came, we can do some, a few bhajans, because they had arranged dinner and all that. They said, absolutely not. Without you, we're not going to start the homam. Without you, we're not going to eat anything. So only after we landed there at 9:30 at night, then they started home, actually. They were not tired. We were tired, but they were not tired, actually. So that's the dedication, of these people actually. Next slide. This is the center. They call it the temple, the Sai temple, but that's their center actually. It's a pretty decent sized building. There's some rooms, and all the activities happen in the community from there. Next slide. So these are all people kind of waiting for us. Next slide. So this is the center inside. So when we walk in, this is, we're looking at this. I mean, they do it in grand style. This is not like, a few things, a few fruits, few vegetables. I mean, they really, for every event, they go out of their way to decorate because their pure focus is on Swami. I mean, it is just unbelievable when you watch them, they're so into Swami, they're do anything for Swami when you actually go there. Next slide. So these are all that's a young adult. He's the main person, and then the 4 boys, Brother Jacques' sons. They do all the pujas and the bhajans together. Next. I can keep going. There's a video.
Vishnu Tadavaha Nashatra Vishnu Evada Ragasta Karanam Jaiva Sarva Vishnu Maya Jagat Ariyoga Sab Govinda 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 Ama Upata Samasa Duvita Swaya Dvala Sri Parameshwara Vidyatam Samarivara Sri Putram Parameshwara Arana Vindoya Ajanta Nishampata Bhakti Siddhatam Yakta Sati Pranava
So they have a van where they serve the community from, and they have all these paintings, someone drew them on the walls. Also, I mean, they don't shy up from Swami, it's not like they're hiding anything. It's like, look, Swami is our God, and that's how we're going to live our lives in the community. That's how they are, actually. So, the next. So this is the, next to the school, there's this hotel, and we were actually supposed to start the camps in the school, but something happened that day, we could not, and this was a hotel, this is the place that we were staying, and this gentleman who owns this place found out that we were doing these camps, and he has this huge yard there, as you can see, under the trees. He said, you can just use it. You're here to serve my people. You can use all these facilities the way you want. So that's what we did for the next several days. We set up everything in this open space between the buildings. There were other clients in the hotels, everyone was just watching us. But that's how we started. And people here, the word just spread like wildfire that we were doing this. They've never experienced this in this small town at all. Because I don't think they actually get many foreigners, let alone anyone actually coming in, other than the local Sai community. But they have not done anything medical in this place. So the word just spread around. We every day, next 4 or 5 days when we had the camps, we were supposed to start at 8 o'clock. But there were people standing in line from 5 a.m. No one wanted to miss these opportunities. When we do these camps, we always think, of course, people are coming, for medical service. But one of the things that you notice all the time is that, a lot of times, that's unique. It's no different in any of us. We crave for love. We crave for that conversations of love. Someone really listening to us. And a lot of times in these medical camps, of course, they might have come for the camp, for the medicines or to get checked. But what really hooks them, what really keeps them in that atmosphere, is the conversations. They feel that love from Sai brothers and sisters, whether walking in, registering, seeing the doctors, coming to the pharmacy. And Swami was taking care of everything. And there's always challenges anywhere you go, and Benin was no exception. Benin apparently is one of those few countries which doesn't subsidize medications. These medications are so expensive, the generic medicines, more than in the US. So here you have this disconnect, this country where people can't afford anything. And then here you have medicines which are out of reach because they don't have that. But Swami was, so we were able to get some medicines, and then Swami sends his people. So throughout Africa, there's a lot of Indians from India who have settled in Africa for the past several generations. But they're the ones who actually do a lot of the business with the medicines, actually. So randomly, these people from Nigeria and other countries, they found out that we were doing these camps, and some of them, these distributors, they wanted to check it out, but they also wanted to consult us because they knew that, like one gentleman wanted to come and, for his wife, come and see me for a GI issue, things like that. So they brought their spouses and all that, to actually get their own consultations. But then they see this, they're like, oh my God, how can we help? So they're immediately networking locally to get the medicines for us. Because we were running out, we didn't know what to do because there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people standing in line. We're like, of course we can see them, but you gotta still take care of them with medications. So one of the local pharmacists, called the boss and trying to get networking to get these medicines. I mean, this is also obvious Leela, right? I mean, otherwise we didn't know any people there. We were all new to this place. And it's on the Benin side, his brother Jacques. I mean, how much one person can do? All the others, they don't have much connections. So these people came from some nowhere to help us get these resources, which are so beautiful, very similar to the person who owns the hotel. When people see the love, something transforms them to kind of, to help. That's exactly what was going on in each and every day. As you can see, really blue skies. This is supposed to be the monsoon season. Till that day that we started, it was raining constantly. The minute we started, there was absolutely no rain for the next 6 days. Absolutely not a drop of rain for the next 6 days. And I'll show you, later on I'll show you a video where literally we ended the camp. We thanked everyone, we took photos. Seconds later, it just downpour of rain. It was just, it's just beyond, again, Swami gracing us, but Swami said, okay, your work is done. Now the rain is needed, right, for the land. So a lot of resources are not there. So Brother Jacques and his wife, they were cooking for us each and every single day. Apparently we didn't realize, because we were getting all these foods, things like yogurt and all that. They were making sure that we ate things that we were used to. And apparently in Benin, in this whole area in Abome, they actually don't have milk. They actually don't have cows in this area. Everything that they make is from milk powder. Milk is so expensive in these villages, so no one actually drinks milk. So they went out of their way to get cheese for us, and we didn't know. And this is the thing, when we get caught up, obviously we are busy doing our own things, and we don't recognize, the love behind the scenes, the sacrifices behind the scenes, the things that they were going through to make us feel at home. And we didn't realize till later on that these were resources that were not available to them, but they wanted to make sure that they were available to us. That is the love Swami. Next slide. Again, we set up, literally each tree was our, a booth for the work they're doing, a lot of the locals. And one thing you'll see in Africa, especially these two countries, is the colors, right? I love color, and the visual of these colors of the clothes everyone wears is so beautiful. Next slide. And we had to set up, so what happened the first few days, the local pharmacists that had, the pharmacy people that were supposed to come could not come. So we had medicines and all that, but there was no pharmacist. Luckily, I used to do that a lot in Bharti, so I kind of took on and we trained people. Very similar to when we went to Haiti. Our brother Sridharan was our pharmacist. We needed a pharmacist, and the others were all doctors. We were so busy, and so we looked at each other, and the only person, non-physician, was brother Sridharan. Like a quick, training for him. Okay, this is a medication, and we asked for this, give this. And brother Sridharan was like immediate, right? Instant pharmacist. So that's what we did with some of these people here to help actually. So again, making use of the resources that we have. So the next slide. A lot of babies. It's so cute to see the babies, how these amazing mothers, they never let go of the kids. How they bundle them up, and carrying them while taking care of themselves. But not a second goes that they're not thinking or looking after their kids. Actually, a pure, just to experience, to see that mother's love is so beautiful. Next slide. These are some of the young adults and some of the volunteers. Next. So this is so we also had a lot of opportunity to meet the local officials. This is the health minister. So he greeted us. He really was very receptive. He really was talking about the challenges that they have locally. He was so happy that we were there. Again, giving us all the support that we needed. And the next day, he actually visited the camp because, keep in mind, just because he's the health minister locally for that municipality, he doesn't have the resources either. That was what he was telling us. Look, of course, my people don't have these resources, but I myself don't have any resources. So the first thing, what does he do the next day? He comes to see us, to actually get all his medical checkup, actually. So, next slide. Again, visual, these two are some of the local doctors. When they heard that we were actually doing the camps, they came to volunteer. That young man and this lady, they came to help, and they said, we will actually commit ourselves even when you leave to help in the school actually. So they were very inspired by that. Next slide. Again, the power of vision. There were so many people who could not see well. A lot of the elderly, just simple things like, these were not reading glasses actually, these were, they had their eyes checked, and we took power classes, when we do these camps in different countries like Kazakhstan, Russia, the optometrists come and help us, and so they get as close as possible to their eyesight, what is needed. And now suddenly these people can see. I mean, they haven't been able to see for years. They can actually see things clearly. And the joy that you see is just beyond, it's very hard to describe when you see them, the tears. Next. What was so cute was the classes that we took, I didn't know that one of the other sisters did, they came in different shapes and colors. And these women, the local women, are just competing for the glasses. They look at the colors, they pick a green, and it's like, nah, I don't think this is for me. And then they pick another color, It was really cute to see them, this lady, after a long time, she finally picked that orange glasses. She says, this is for me. So, some of the small things, like, again, Swami says, when we get caught up with these things, But, in the small things, we just watching them find something that they like was really beautiful. Of course, for them, the vision was the most important thing. This is a secondary thing. You just have to admire that. Next slide. Again, from time to time, you get these moments where it's all quiet, and you get to just sit and enjoy small things in nature. And this young kid, and the mother was very busy to be seen. She had a few other children, I think, and she needed someone to take care of this kid because she was being examined. So this kid kept going from one person to the other. And here it was all so busy, but this few moments, just experiencing that love from that kid. These are things that kind of make our days a lot of times when you're so busy, and both physically exhausted as well sometimes, just from the hours. Next slide. Again, I always say inspired and be inspired, and the reason I always say that is because all of us have something to give, and I think we should never underestimate ourselves, not in an egoistic way, but we all have a lot to give, and I think we have to bring ourselves to do that. At the same time, also be inspired by people around us, and these are all young people, never had this experience before. Now they're experiencing this, all these young people want to do much more. And I think it's up to us, the elders, to inspire our young people. Just being who we are, we're doing what we do. And they inspire us because they take an extra step. Young people take the extra step. We stick to our routine that we can do, but young people, go a step beyond. And I think that's the inspiration for us in return. Next slide. So in Benin, Benin is divided into kingdoms. So there are these kings, each, think of it like not town, but the Farmington Hills or village of the city of Farmington, Novi. So each one of these areas had as a king. Even today, these areas, these huge municipalities have kings. And they, this whole area, these kings used to live in this. These are all simple houses. When we think about it, we were told the king of Abome actually wants to see you all. Here we are going expecting, a palace or something, and that's it. That's the palace. Very simple, but they've been there. Apparently, these kings used to live between 1600 and 1900, and all those have been now categorized as World Heritage Sites by UNESCO in 1985. Actually, the king of Abome still lives there. Actually. So he invited us, so we had no idea what we were going to do. So we went, when we were in Nigeria, we got some of the local shirts and all that. So we wore those and we went there. So this is the entrance of the palace. You walk in and there's another thing, and you walk in again. By the time you get to the king, it takes a while actually. It goes so deep. And then you walk, you have to sit there, wait, the king ain't there yet, He'll come when he thinks it's the right time. So it's very interesting. So we go, this is the palace, king's palace, king of Abome. Next slide. So we're all waiting there, ready to go. He kept us waiting for some time, because when we come there, there's nobody there except one gentleman, and then a few people kind of walk in, and they keep telling us, it's not time yet. He'll call you when it's time for him. Because I think that they might be doing other things inside. Next, these are the local sisters. And this lady you see dressed up, she walks out. So here we're thinking she's the queen, because she's all really dressed up. And it turns out she's actually the secretary of the king. But the queens, and I'll talk about the queens in a minute, they actually live very, 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 very simple lives, actually. And they're not even in the palace. They're somewhere else. So it's very interesting. These queens are picked based on spiritual paths, not just go and pick a girl and that's going to be my queen. They actually look at the spiritual backgrounds of people, and that's how the queens are picked apparently. It's very, very interesting. So we walk in, next slide. So this is the king. And we walk in and he's he doesn't talk much. He's been not that old actually, but and then he was so happy that we were there. So we have to pay our respects. We all have to go down to the king. It's like any kingdom, all that is still maintained. And I think it's very important because that's important, right? You have to respect the local law of the land. Swami always says, always respect the local laws of the land. Usually apparently the king serves alcohol. He was kind of disappointed that none of us drank alcohol. So somewhere out of the blue, we got all these, soft drinks. So you wanted to make sure that all of us drank the soft drinks. He, in his own way, he really thanked us. And then at the end of the meeting, he says, tomorrow we have to go see my queens. And he said, the resources are very little here. I want you doctors to go and see the queens. So here we are thinking, because we try to maintain the gender separation, even when we see in clinics. Of course, we're doctors, we can see anyone, but as much as possible, women see women and men see men. So we were kind of debating, but there's only one woman doctor actually, and there's 32 queens. Not his queens actually, but if you want to show what exactly he was talking about, he said, no, all of you go and see all my queens actually. So the next day we go and see the queens. And these queens, they live in very, very, very simple lives. They're very simple dressed. It really it's very humbling actually, the way they live their lives. They have absolutely no resources. Again, not the way we think of kingdoms and queens and kings, the resources. But they were so wonderful. They allowed us to do routine checks on all of them and bring them the medicines and all that. We actually went back again and took care of them. And he was so happy that we were there to take care of the queens. And these queens, he has only one queen. But the others were, other queens that are still living, but they all live separately. Next slide. So these are the palaces. Each one is kind of a queen's palace that you can see. Such simplicity that they live. Next slide. So again, strength in unity and unity in diversity. All the locals coming together, when we come together here, same thing, right, in our science centers, we find ourselves being able to do so much. It also goes back to us, working with communities as well, like we did here, yesterday, the tree planting project, or, the soup kitchen. We have to work with people in the communities, and that's what we do. In that strength, we can actually serve, a lot of people. Next slide. If you could play this video, it's a very tiny clip. So, and after that, I'll check a very quick story. So we waited to see these children because this is where the visa comes back. So everyone left after the first 4 days. So I could not go back because I cannot re-enter now Nigeria. And there was a reason for that. There was a reason Swami kept me in that uncertainty till that time. Why is that? Some of you know Sister Ramadevi, Dr. Ramadevi, she's a pediatrician. She actually stayed back 2 more days to actually not only see some of these children, but also do an EHV for the local schools. And I was thinking, everyone has left. In my own mind, I was thinking, we just cannot leave a side sister, or it doesn't have to be a sister, even a brother, alone in a country that no one else, everyone in the team actually left. I'm thinking, it'd be so nice someone actually stays with the sister and leaves with her 2 days later. And that's how the whole visa story comes back. Swami made sure that I did not go back to Nigeria. He made sure that I could not re-enter Nigeria. To me, the only exit was Benin. Why is that? Because Sister Ramadevi was actually exiting from Benin and not from Nigeria. Everything kind of came together at that time. Obviously, I had to change flights. I started calling Lata to kind of change flights for me. That was kind of chaotic, but there was a reason behind all this. So and sometimes things are not so obvious. I was the least worried about the visa. Everyone's like, hurry, how are you going to get back to US? They were so worried for me. They were calling all sorts of people, everyone different. And I'm like, I'm fine, recognizing that I may not come back to US. Because my return trip was from Nigeria, not from Benin, actually. So that is Swami's lead-up for you. Next slide. So, so next 2 days, me and Sister Ramadevi, we took care of all the kids, several hundreds of them, and then we also, because there's so many others who thought that camp was over, but when they started taking care of the children, they started lining up. And I started seeing some of them as well because I'm an adult doctor, so we took care of that the next 2 days. Next slide. We also did an EHV. It's called Happiness Within Reach. It's called the EASE program. Eat healthy. A stands for positive attitude. Sleep well and exercise regularly, but incorporating human values. So we actually went to one of the local high schools. And it was so beautiful to meet these young people because it showed us what contentment meant. They were so happy with what they had. They didn't want anything more than what they had. So they taught us a huge lesson about, and they were so enthusiastic, the teachers and the children. Next slide. This is Sister Ramadevi and myself and the brother Jacques Fago in the back, and the teachers. These are all the young people there. They were all participating. They had such a good time with the EHV. Next slide. It's such a beautiful quote for me. Together we are free, together we are bound. I in you and you in me. To me, this is such a beautiful saying because Swami is constantly reminding us about He's in each one of us. The bigger picture, the bigger message for all of us in everything that we do is to recognize that divine, that God in each one of us. Service is good. That's just the first step, like I said. But the bigger goal is to recognize the divine, to feel that unity, to feel that equalness, that the person inside that we are serving is no different from me. Why is that? Because the divine in that person is no different than the divine in me. Next slide. This is Brother Jacques, his statement. It was so touching because people are so moved. When we went to Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina, the priest there said, I don't know who sent you, but I don't know who you are. He was talking about the Sai community, but he said, I know God sent you. It doesn't matter for anyone to know who we are, but it matters that we reflect God's message, God's love. My impressions for this 2023 medical camp in Abome in Benin are very positive because I experienced this only in Prasanthi Nilayam in India and never thought this could be a reality in Africa, my country. The need for medical services is very great in Africa. It was Swami who answered my prayer. So the joy of the local people is unbounded because it's a unique service never experienced by us. So it was such a beautiful, as much as we were thinking it was an amazing experience for us, it was a big experience for everyone as well. Next slide. So I'll end with this video. It's about 6 or 7 minutes, if that's okay. It's really kind of compilation of everything. It's just prepared by Gus.
So thank you for bringing us together in one city. We ask for the possible respect. We ask for God that you help us to live up.
Sairam, I don't know how to even say a word of thanks to Brother Hari. He's been such a wonderful human being, and in his caption said it all. Inspire and be inspired. Of course, our greatest inspiration is Bhagwan himself, and I'm sure that's why he has been such a beautiful guiding star for each one of us. And I'm glad you're back with all the visa issues. But what's also beautiful is, what Swami always used to say. And he started with saying, my life is my message. And later Swami went on to say that, our life has to be his message. And every opportunity we are able to grab to serve people is a reflection of what Swami's message is to each one of us. I think that's exactly what Brother Hari and the rest of his team accomplished during that beautiful trip. Thank you very much for sharing everything. I'm sure I just want to say ways in which people without a medical background can also contribute for these kind of projects. Because we don't know how blessed we are till we see what happens on the other side of the world, right? So if there's anything which we can do, please let us know, and I'm sure several of us will be eager to do how we can help.
There is a camp actually coming in Africa in March and April. Again, non-medical people can also volunteer, but they can also help.
Yeah, if you could let us know how, then probably we could plan in advance and be of service to everyone.
The message should be coming soon. It was already sent to the regional president.
Wonderful. I'd like to call Brother Chandrasekhar and be ready to hand over a gift of token of Allah. Thank you very much. So we'll do Om and Sri Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Silence. Let's silently observe the next few minutes while we get prepared for bhajan, which starts at 4 o'clock. All of you who are singing, please come forward and I'll be able to take your shirties for the bhajan. Silence.